my BST class, we had to make our own website. It was a really terrible, like, Angel Fire website.
Oh, okay.
And it still comes up. It's like me, Jake Tenenbaum, Rachel Hart, and Ralph.
So it shows off your best skills.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I would say that there's also a correlation between the amount of time spent at Mooney's and your desire to post photos on the internet. And so today we're going to talk about ways that you can develop your online personal brand through proactive work. You're going to be super bored. You've already had this. You'll sit through. You'll live through it again. Okay, so why is this important? So this is from the book Socialnomics by Eric Waldman. It's all about relationships. It's not about technology. So this has been really difficult for chief marketing officers to adapt to the changing population. Completely different mindset than millennials. Changing composition of companies. Not much I have to say about that. Take that for what it is. And I think we could call Tinder drive-through dating. This is actually, I would say the divorces are probably higher. I know somebody whose full-time job is researching social media for divorce cases. And we're making decisions in the classroom as to what textbooks we use based on what's the most interactive and what improves learning outcomes. And if you're not on LinkedIn, you're probably behind the curve. Today, a bad customer experience can just flow through word of mouth and affect the company incredibly. It's also affecting our marketing. It used to be with Super Bowl ads, it was all about the reveal. Today it's about sharing and getting that attention ahead of time. And I've done research on using Twitter in the classroom, and we found that it had higher achievement of learning objectives and performance in the class than just interacting by email with the professor. And yes, my mother is on Facebook. She calls it her face page. She is not good.
Private messages are hysterical because they're not private.
No, she thinks email is my wall. And if you don't believe that there's a virtual economy, you've never played Candy Crush, where she starts to cry because you ever connected for free. Today we have the tools in our pocket that would have taken 7 or 8 devices back in the 90s. Anybody can be a tastemaker or a pundit. You know you made it when you're on Wikipedia. You just hope it's good. And accurate. When I worked for the cruise lines, we always invited the New York Times and USA Today to come and see the new ships. Today, influential bloggers have a seat at the table. That word of mouth is so incredible that it's blended between who's a journalist and who's a citizen blogger. And we trust strangers, not advertisers. Definitely not celebrity spokespeople. So social media is kind of part of your job. So what is an online brand? Well, your personal brand is what people think of you. Your first impression, your last impression, your reputation. But really, for an online personal brand, it's what is your digital ecology? What's that footprint out there? What's on the first page of Google? So if I were to Google you, would I find pictures from Mooney's, or would I find a personal profile? Would I find a blog with compelling content? It's the good, the bad, and the freshman mistakes. Your Google results can hurt you, but at the same time, if you do the right things, you can push bad content down. Microsoft, back in 2010, said 85% of recruiters were using social media, or excuse me, Google to find out online reputation, 70% had eliminated candidates, and that has to be a lot higher now. Back at my old school, we had several jobs that were withdrawn from candidates because of what was found. But the flip side is only 7% of job seekers think that their online reputation matters. So what it means is if you're cultivating your online brand, you're so far ahead of the game.
So you may be asking yourself, how can I cultivate my online brand? When we're talking about LinkedIn in particular, this is one of the most popular sites that potential employers are going to look for. Right? They're going to look for the Facebook and the movies, pictures and things like that to understand if they shouldn't hire you. But that first impression often comes from LinkedIn. And you want to make sure that you have a really strong, really powerful LinkedIn page that's going to draw them in and get them looking at you. So one of the first things we talk about is the idea of having a good headshot. Right? Something that looks professional, something that shows off your personality but still makes you look like somebody that they want to hire. That sounded a little long. Recruiters often spend less than 6 seconds looking at resumes, so having that ability to grab them, to bring them in, to make them really want to look at you more is very powerful. And again, having that headshot right there can help drag them in, can help bring them in and have them looking at your profile better. So again, how many of you guys have a LinkedIn page? Excellent. How many of you update your LinkedIn page regularly, put in projects and things like that? That's another really important tool, right? Because this can help you show them what you're capable of, what you can do, right? You grab them in there with the good headline, the good image, and now you have a chance to kind of show off a little bit. It's easier to navigate through than a paper resume, so having that there is going to help a lot.
And one of the things I like to say is it gives you a 360 view of the candidate. You say you've done it, you show you've done it, because you can really give that context.
Another option is the about.me personal pages. Are you guys familiar with those? Excellent. So again, this lets you set up that branding story. It lets you control what the employers are seeing, and it helps you push those spring break or the movies pictures down a little bit further in the search results. Okay, we all know they're there, right? Number of online portfolios you can use. Again, the ones that you choose to use are going to vary based on your field and what you need to showcase. So things like YouTube, if you do something that's very visual, having a really clean YouTube page where people can go and see what you've done can help a lot. SoundCloud, if you're musically inclined or something like that. All of these can really help you pull that brand together. And again, having the profile in an easily accessible place allows your employer to get that really nice 360 very quickly. So why LinkedIn?
If you're watching this, chances are good you want to get a job. You want to go from student to rising star. You want to avoid it's for you, and it's the perfect place for you to start your professional story. Say you want to get a job in New York City. You've never been there before, but that's okay because you have LinkedIn on your side. You start by creating your profile. You give it love because you know it's what recruiters are looking for day and night. It's your resume that never sleeps. It's your flashing neon sign that says, hire me, for the love of all that is good in this world, hire me. Then you start making connections.
Probably don't sound that desperate.
Right.
Definitely not your headline.
In New York? Yes.
Exactly.
Your mom's best friend? Yes. You start imagining whose shoes you want to walk in. You think, wow, this is a lot of deep stuff to consider. You shake yourself out of it and start searching for jobs. Whoa, that's a lot of jobs for students. Time to get down to business. You start to
And they have jobs
You start applying. You feel
just for
empowered,
jobs.
some control. Like you should be CEO. That gives you an idea. You look up all the CEOs of all the companies you want to work at. You see one of them went to your university, and it hits you. You see a clear path from campus to career. You feel like you can see the future. You wonder if you're psychic. Should you start a hotline? No. Back to plan A. You keep
That'll be found on Google.
connecting with your client. Before you know it, you start getting responses. First a few, then more, then an interview, and then you're hired. And that's when the real learning begins.
So of course, the important thing to remember, don't say hire me, hire me, hire me. When I talk about interviewing for jobs and things like that, I like to think of it as kind of like going on a first date, right? You want to present who you really are because you don't want to waste your time or the other person's time, but you want to present a slightly more polished version of who you are, perhaps. Show off your good side, let that really shine through, but still be yourself, right? Because this is about finding that match that's right for you. Again, that really does sound like a dating site, but it is about finding the company that's right for you and showing the company that you're right for them.
All about fit. You want to go there 50 weeks out of the year.
So in terms of making a good profile,
Here's how to make your profile great. Number one, pick a
now it's important to note that even some of these pictures that you're saying are appropriate.
They're really not for business.
Right. If you're an accounting major, it's a student.
Tell us who you are and what
Right.
you do.
And it's a plain background.
Yeah, I like that. Remember, nothing too personal, nothing too clever. Number three, tell us about your education. What's your major? What classes did you take? What skills did you develop? C++,
What projects can you show
art
us?
history, Portuguese history, quantum thermodynamics? Yes, put those. Number four, list your experience. Give us your organizations, your achievements, your honors. President of the International Club? Yes. Volunteer building houses? Yes. Invented a cat toy? Yeah, sure, that counts. Number five, get recommendations. Prove you've got what it takes. Get managers, mentors, and professors to post something that says, this person is smart, hardworking, good-natured, and well-rounded, or something like that. And then you're done. You shout, this is me! You do a celebration dance. You feel good, you stand out. You know you're on your way, because there are jobs to be found, and recruiters are looking to find you as you watch this. That's right now, this very second. What are you waiting for? Go, find, be found.
I'm gonna run that little, have your professors fill out that form for you. I would say honestly, I think for the most part, that's something we're all really happy to do. But the way it's gonna be most convincing and most rewarding for you is if you've had the chance to do. But the way it's gonna be most convincing and most rewarding for you is if we had the chance to get to know you, so we can say something more personal, so we can say, this student has excelled in my class in X, Y, and Z, and that is why I think they will be a good employee for you. So, don't just go up to every professor you have and say, hey, I got a C- in your class, can you write me something on LinkedIn? You're not gonna get the comments that you want, but as a professor who's done really well in their classes, you talk to them outside of the classroom, you're generally gonna get something that's really gonna help, and we often always also have connections, which,
And one of the best things you can do when asking for recommendation is to guide the recommendation. Ask them, could you talk about my performance on, say, the JCPenney case, or how I did in my final project, or my project delivery. If you're getting multiple recommendations, you want to show different aspects of your ability, and it's possible that we may rave about you, but it may not be anything specific. So if you're trying to go for a specific job, it's a way to give good context.
and it also makes it easier on us, which means it's gonna be better for you.
Oh yeah. Now, I'm a big fan of kind of turbocharging your LinkedIn page. A lot of times I see LinkedIn pages that are just black and white. And we've got Jillian there. And within her experience here, she's used what they call the gallery. When you're in the edit mode, you'll see a little square with a plus, and you can put in links to websites, you can put PDFs, you can link off to SlideShare, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. It's a company that LinkedIn owns. But, a lot of times when I would see a resume, I would say, taking this with a grain of salt, it sounds like you can do everything. Well, you may have a lot of great skills, but this can say, hey, I've actually done it. Go off and see what I've done. Here's the deliverable from that project. And so you're really kind of putting your money where your mouth is. The other way to do that is to highlight visual work through one of the free portfolio sites. The one I actually suggest is Behance, BEHANCE.net. Behance.net was purchased by Adobe. Now, the statistic that they quote is they have the traffic of the next 6 top portfolio sites combined. What's awesome about that is I've used it for press clippings, but you can see some of my digital marketing work. You can have videos in there. So a lot of different things that you may have done in classes can work really, really well. Think about all the deliverables you have from group projects that have a visual component, and this can go in there just great. And then you can deep link onto LinkedIn as a gallery. And best of all, this is free, and it shows up very highly in search. Another great tool that I think is useful is called SlideShare. Now, SlideShare was so helpful that LinkedIn actually bought them. SlideShare allows you to upload PowerPoints, I believe PDFs as well, but the PowerPoints will allow you to show visual communications. In this case, like with this presentation, where there's a video, it would show a blank square. So it really is more like having a PDF up there. But for certain employers, visual communication is really important. So I work for American Express, and one of the things that was sometimes maddening to me was what could have been a 5-minute conversation do you want to move forward with this project? Yes or no? It would have to be an 1.5-hour PowerPoint presentation. And that was, that was a big part of your evaluation, was how well you visually communicated. Is it all just a whole bunch of text on the page, or are you pulling the reader through visually and telling a good story? And so this is a good way to show some of the deliverables from your projects, that you can talk to an executive audience, that you can take complex information, boil it down to a cohesive story. So I'm a big fan of this, and it fits in beautifully to into the LinkedIn gallery.
Another resource that we have available, and I think most of you raised your hands and said you were at least familiar with About.me. This is a really great site to use to have that personal landing page that just lets the people know who you are. You've got your elevator speech, you've got that nice picture, and it's set up so that people can go directly from this web page that has your name on it, which makes it nice and easy to remember, to any of these resources, any of these other online sources that you're using. Right, so you can go from your About.me page to your LinkedIn page, to your Pinterest page, apparently. Yeah, again, think twice about that one if you're not quite sure what you got on there. But again, having it set up so that you've got this one clear location you can send your potential employers to, and they can learn about you, right? And again, this is tailored, this is specific to you, and it's going to make you look like you're really savvy, like you're aware of what's going on, like you're the kind of person they want to bring into their company, because this is a great way of communicating. And if you can make it this clear and this easy for them to navigate, you're going to be a great employee.
And they want you to succeed. About.me actually highlighted Kyle as one of their college students of the week. So if you tweet them and say, hey, I've got a About.me page, here's my story, they can get you some publicity.
Absolutely.
They're a really cool company.
And the nice thing too is that as an undergraduate student, you're able to get that vanity URL for a year. So your name.me, and it's, first of all, it's free and it's personalized. So again, it's giving them that really nice, easy outlet to reach out to you and say, I want to hire you.
And I'll tell you, they've actually changed the template a little. It's a lot easier. It used to be that you had to be standing off to the side in a picture. Your bio would be over here. Now you can just take a regular picture and put it up there, and it looks really sharp. They do have a mobile app that has an introduction feature, so you can share your About.me over to somebody that has the app as well. So one of the other things that is fairly useful, especially for the Ithaca College community, is we have a lot of folks that have video content, performing arts, audio content. And this is actually an Ithaca College Acting and Musical Theater Showcase. You may have a lot of content, but it's really important to take the time to organize it, have good descriptions in there. Think about what shows up in search, having good keywords. And so take the time to make it nice and easy to browse. Then highlight it in your LinkedIn and on your About.me page. SoundCloud can be a little touchy. They would love to send out takedown notices. You don't have the right to show this, even if you own the performance. So there are a lot of sites out there that allow that, but fantastic options to put into About.me just to give a really nice picture of what you can do. Now, how many of you are on Google+? How many of you go there every day and interact with your best friends? No, nobody does. Basically, tumbleweeds are blowing by over there. But here's why it's important. Google likes Google websites. And so if you put stuff on Google+, like all the websites you've set up for this exercise, or flattering photos of yourself that you've tagged, fill out a bio on there, suddenly that stuff starts to show up into Google. It starts to get preference. So you want to take the time to fill out all the links on here, the bio. If somebody's logged in and they're connected with you, they'll see your bio on there. So it's just a good habit to claim it, have a good picture, and just keep it up to date. The about's a really important section. The tagline is the most important though. Now, beyond that, you can actually take a proactive step so that all of your sites are found on Google. And it doesn't actually cost anything. All you have to do is Google Submit My Site, and it's going to take you to Webmaster Tools, and you can put in your About.me, your LinkedIn, your SlideShare, your SoundCloud, and you probably don't want to do those all at once. It starts to get a little skeptical, so do a couple a day. And then what it does is, it says, hey, put this in the queue to be crawled by the spiders. Okay, that's a really strange term, but the spiders are their servers that crawl the web and they index things. Many sites never get indexed and never actually make it onto search results. Now, all of these actually are very highly ranked websites, so you have a good shot of them showing up very quickly. And so you can do that with any of these sites I've talked about, but also anytime you get, say, nice coverage in the Ithaca, or maybe Ithaca Voice or USA Today, you can actually pop that in there. They don't actually check the ownership of it, but it's just a nice way to make sure that you're being found and to push down some of those results that perhaps maybe were not as thrilling to you.
All right. So a handful of last tips for you in terms of how we want you, or how you can best go about landing that job, right? Again, so the yourname.me, free for a year. Why not? I mean, the price is right. It's that nice, easy, clean way to have employers find you, and it makes that great launching point to all of your other profiles. Network. Meet people. Invite them to connect with you on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to reach out to someone who went to Ithaca College and send them that friendly email. Now, don't send them that email and say, here's my resume, can you get me a job? But send them that email and say, I've enjoyed my experience here, I'm looking to go into this field. Would you have a chance to share some of your learnings with me, right? Share some of your experiences. How did you get to where you are? And if you do it with just enough flattery, that's going to be really well received. And I know I've actually been in the experience of having people, when I was working for American Greetings, people from the school where I got my MBA would reach out to me like that. And I would always follow up with them, but if I didn't get a thank you, and then like 3 months down the line, I got oh, by the way, can I get a job? Yeah, I didn't even bother printing their resume, right? So treat this as a formal interaction, but do it, right? We like to hear from our people at our schools. We like to maintain those connections, especially at a school like Ithaca. We see so many alums coming back saying, I want to help, how can I help? If they're on LinkedIn, reach out to them, that's why they're there.
And that's one of the things that we really sell here at Ithaca is there's a mystique, there's a pride of being an alum. So, they'll try to pay it forward when you're out in the workforce, try to pay it forward to the current students.
Exactly.
LinkedIn is good karma, but treat it respectfully.
Organize your content and keep it fresh, right? Even if you've already landed your job, you should still be updating, putting new bits of information in there, keeping it fresh and keeping it current. In part to, again, help with getting the information up and keeping it at the top of the list. But also because you should always be looking for that next job, right? So you want to make sure that you're updating things regularly, that you're making sure that you're giving your next employer a reason to hire you. Now, we suggest that you put group projects and things that you've done on the web pages. Don't do that with your employer's material. That could get you in serious trouble. But don't be afraid to update and talk about the things you've done, successful campaigns you've run, all those things.
Advertisements and stuff, perhaps you've been a part of, that's fine.
Right.
But internal PowerPoint documents about strategy, oh no.
Yeah.
Then you're really going to need LinkedIn.
Or a good lawyer.
Yeah.
All right, so build a YouTube channel if it's appropriate for you. Use those nice categories, keep it clean, keep it so that the stuff that you want people to see first is what's going to populate first. Think like a marketer, right? So much of the job search is learning how to market yourself, okay? It's learning how to position yourself in ways that employers are going to look and say, you're the kind of person that I want to hire, right? So think about the ways that they're going to think. And whether it's not just in marketing. Think about how your employer is going to look for you, but then behave as a marketer, right? So make sure you're putting yourself out there, make sure you're tailoring all of these experiences, set up a Google alert, and just be positive, right? Post positive content and photos to Google+. So using that the Google website, like we talked about, that's one that's going to show up repeatedly in those Google searches, which is frankly going to be the first place your employer goes to look for you. So making sure that all of these things are being done so that you wind up on the top page, so that you wind up on the front.
And I will tell you, as far as LinkedIn, it can seem a little overwhelming at first. I would say take it over 2 to 3 times. Come in and see people in office hours and have us look at it. We'll coach you. We always
apply to grad schools too. I actually had professors go and Google me when I was applying for graduate school, and then ask me questions about things like when I was a reporter for my university paper in like the late 90s. So it sticks around for a long time, and they will ask you about it if they're really interested.
Depending on the job, they may ask for your social media sites on the application, especially if you're going into something like PR or social media. They want to know that you're competent, B, can they trust you with the keys to the car, and are you effective? Have you built a network?
Now, are there any questions? I had to argue that last little bit in because it was personal.
Do you have any students coming to you with the website Brand Yourself? Have you had exposure with
Yes,
that website?
so I know the Brand Yourself. Here's the concern with Brand Yourself. They are going to do minor optimization on your content, and then they want to charge you. So it's a firewall type product where they're going to give you just a little. New York Times gives you 10 articles a month, and then you need to buy the subscription. They're pretty good, but they make you want to get more. If you do this type of stuff by having good content out there, registering it with the search engines, you don't have to pay. There are a lot of services out there that want to help you with your content. I actually have a former professor who had to hire a reputation specialist because of what was out on the internet about her. So there are entire firms that do this, but at this point in your lives, if you do this, you're going to be golden. I mean, that's what's going to make you stand out because it'll show the type of work you've done. The other thing is that if you've done a certification like Aaron, you've got Hootsuite, I think. If you've done a certification as part of a class, or maybe you've done certification on your own, there are sections for that. There are sections you can add to the default page on LinkedIn for volunteer. Gosh, what else? Patents. We have publications on ours. And just remember, you can also drag the sections around as to what's more relevant. Right now, you would have education right underneath your summary. But once you've gotten out in the real world a couple of years, you can swap that around. For us, publications would come first. And really look to see if it tells that good story. Because you've done a lot of cool things. I'm very impressed with the work you guys have done, especially with internships. This is a really good way to make them stand out. Anybody on SlideShare? Should be, because it shows up highly in search. It helps. Yeah?
So do you guys think that this is more, certain types of employers and certain types of job markets look at LinkedIn and all these websites more heavily? Because I'm a physics major personally, so I'm not even looking at engineering, I'm actually looking to go to law school eventually, to maybe get a legal job. Do you think they're just as into this kind of thing? Or?
So with law school, they're still going to Google you. What's good about that is the fact that it's going to show up highly. And if you have gotten everything buttoned down as to what projects you've done, you can tell this. You can craft the story for what's going to work for you. I actually, back at my old school, I worked with the Dean's Council in the law school on how they could use it for legal professionals. Especially if you're publishing anything in the legal space, the publications can be really helpful. So.
And even in the field you're in now, it's one of those things that's just better to have. Again, because if they search you and all they come up with is your Facebook page that you've updated like once since freshman year, it might even seem a little suspicious. It might seem like you've gone out of your way to suppress any information that's out there. So having something about you, something that you're controlling that's easy to find, is always going to be an asset. So, and it doesn't take too much time to set up anything, at least to get like the basics.
And one of the most powerful things about LinkedIn is the network on there. It's not so important that I have 2,000 connections, it's that each of those connections has a network. And you can see, if say you're doing a search for JetBlue, you can see that there are 5 people that are third-degree connections. That means you know somebody that knows them. You can ask for introductions. A lot of times, if you're a member of a group, groups are a great way to kind of circumvent the firewall between people. That's a way to get connected that you wouldn't have had otherwise. A small tip for groups, though. First thing you do when you join a group is you turn off the email digester. You're going to get overwhelmed with it. But it is a way that you can get into like-minded professionals. And so I'm part of eMarketer. And I've seen students go in there and say, hey, I just did this in my class. What's the best way for me to get into this type of company? People really want to help students. I mean, it's just a way to start a dialogue with people that are already where you want to be. And boy, when I was in school, we didn't have those opportunities. Yeah?
I recently had a recruiter reach out to me, and she messaged me on
So it means that stuff on your Facebook can be seen. You need to do a nice little hygiene audit of your privacy.
So it was like she wants to set up like a meeting about a job opening.
Yeah, so what I would do is I would just say, hey, here's my, could I have your email? Follow up with her through your...
She sent me one on LinkedIn and Facebook.
Then follow up on the, so she really wants to talk to you, first of all. That's a good thing. I've gotten it through Facebook, but in my case it was digital marketing recruiters expect that they can find you on all the digital channels. But yeah, just follow up with her and go from there. That's legit. LinkedIn is where jobs are being posted and where executive recruiters really find their talent. I would really suggest, you know, if you're interested in a career, a couple of tools. Do a search for the role on LinkedIn. When you click on a job, it'll tell you if you know anybody at the company or who the hiring manager is and how far away in degrees you are from them. And then, if you haven't heard of Glassdoor, Glassdoor is spectacular. It is the Yelp for employers.
Yes.
You can go on there and you can see what interview questions have been asked. And I had somebody come in and ask me, well, I'm interviewing with Ogilvy. We went there and she got some of the same questions we found. You can find reviews. Now remember, when you have a spectacular burger at the ale house, you typically don't go and leave a review at Yelp. If you've had a great day at work, you're probably not going to leave a review on Glassdoor. So it's probably more of a worst case scenario, but it gives you some context of, A, would I be a cultural fit, and how miserable are people?
And Francesca, I would probably check this out on Glassdoor before I responded.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And I asked my cousin about the company and stuff. I don't know if you know, it's like Global, that was the company that she's.
Is that out of Phoenix?
I know they have she wants to interview me for either the Jersey office or the New York City office.
Huh. Yeah, and then the other thing to keep in mind is if you're getting notes from executive recruiters, remember they don't work for you, they work for whoever their client is, and so you're just one of about 20 they've talked to. So that's why it's always good to have your LinkedIn up to date, and I'm a big fan of at least 2 updates a month, because out of sight, out of mind. You want people to know what you're doing. So it's like, oh, I've got a project that could be like that. What are you doing when you get out of school? It's better not to look desperate when things go south. Because sometime in your career, your company is going to go south. You're going to go work for somebody where you're just not a cultural fit. So it's good to kind of maintain that and calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, the first thing when she messaged me, I went on Glassdoor to see the salary of the
You go right for it.
Well, yeah, and that actually helps because I've heard of people, you know, what's your target salary, and they'll give something lower than what they would normally, because they didn't have the right information.
Let us know what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do.
Yes.
Once you get into this stuff, it's kind of fun. You'll start checking your Google and seeing where you're showing up. It's always good to check on a computer that's not yours, so you can see what it looks like when you're not recognized. So, pretty easy, and all this stuff is free. Yes?
So you mentioned that you have 2,000 connections on LinkedIn. 500 plus, does it matter at this point in our careers as senior engineers?
So here's what matters. No, the thing is that you proactively add to your network, your colleagues in class, your professors, because if you connect with me, I'm going to want you to dig through my LinkedIn. And if there's a connection that I have that you want to meet, as long as I know them well enough, I'll make a connection for you. What's important is to have a 100% complete profile, which is to have a good summary. And once you write that summary, that elevator speech, copy and paste everywhere. To have education, explain the classes you've taken, the projects you've worked on. If you haven't done that, you can't apply for the jobs on there. It'll say your profile's incomplete. I do think you need to have 3 recommendations, and that takes a little while to get those. But as long as you're proactively adding people as you meet them at events like this or career nights, that's the most important thing. And be careful of accepting invitations just randomly. It may be that they're trying to troll your contacts. If you ever see something that says LION, that means LinkedIn Open Networker, they're like the person in high school that wanted the most Facebook friends. And you will see in their profile, LION, 17,000 plus connections. They're never going to ask you for anything. You're never going to get any help from them. It's just, it feels dirty. Don't do it.
Hear someone's whispers.
No, I think we're actually hearing your audio.
Are there any other questions?
And we'll hang out for a couple, yeah.
Do you give more dedicated workshops, to building a LinkedIn profile? Somebody maybe has a LinkedIn profile but really needs to.
I've done that, where I've done this presentation, it's just LinkedIn, and we'll go through and we'll look at each section in depth. This was more about an overarching strategy of a digital footprint. But yeah, we can definitely go into a much deeper look at the sections of LinkedIn, and typically I'll go into a fake page that I have and we'll start setting it up. We could even do, say, a 2.5-hour workshop and build as we go.
Are you giving any of those this semester?
I have not been set up for any.
Just curious.
Okay. We're happy to set something up.
I can always tell when professors are assigning the update your LinkedIn profile in class. I was looking at like 37 student requests in a single day.
And
Which I was accept.
this was a project in my digital marketing class, because one of the reasons why I did that was when you're having to manage your own footprint and think about keywords and good content and content density, then when they get to the project, it was much more simple to understand, okay, then the brand's not doing this well. But yeah, I've definitely done this as part of the class, several classes actually. This is fun stuff, you should do it. And if we're connected, please dig through my profile, and if you need help optimizing your page, come see me in office hours, or if I have a contact you want to meet, let me know. And I did pretty well. I trimmed out everybody I didn't actually know. They won't notice because I didn't know them. So I know most everyone in my list. So. Well, thank you. We appreciate it.